I drive long haul at night. I prefer it that way. Less traffic, fewer stops. The road feels honest after midnight. Just lines, lights, and the low hum of the engine keeping you company. I've been doing this long enough that routine matters more than comfort. Same thermos, same seat position, same radio presets. I don't deviate unless I have to. There's one stretch of highway in western Kansas where my radio stops being predictable. It always happens after mile marker 417. The first time I thought it was interference. I'd just passed the marker, flatland, no towns nearby, no reason for a strong local signal. My usual station faded out mid-song, replaced by static, then a voice tuning itself in like someone leaning toward a mic. "Good evening, driver," the voice said. Male, calm, older, the kind of voice you trust without meaning to. "You're right on time." I reached for the dial. The signal stayed. "The white Freightliner," the host continued. "Fleet number still peeling on the rear door. Left brake light flickers when you downshift." My hand froze. Those details weren't unique, but the timing was wrong, too immediate, too specific. I flipped to another preset. Static. Another. Dead air. Every frequency was empty except that one. I told myself it was a prank station, some local broadcaster with a powerful transmitter and a weird gimmick. Truckers aren't hard to spot. You can read a lot from a rig if you've been around long enough. "That's a long haul you're on," the host said, conversational. "Denver to St. Louis. You stopped at the Loves outside Colby. Skipped dinner, again." I hadn't told anyone that. I slowed slightly, eyes scanning the dark road ahead. Nothing but reflectors and the occasional oncoming headlights far off in the opposite lanes. "Don't touch the radio," the host said gently. "You'll just make it worse." I did anyway. The volume knob didn't respond. Neither did the power button. I considered pulling over, but this stretch doesn't have many shoulders, and stopping a loaded rig in the dark isn't something you do lightly. I told myself to ride it out. Signals fade. Everything fades. The host cleared his throat. "Before we get into tonight's weather," he said, "we should talk about your sleeper cab." My stomach tightened. The sleeper is behind the driver's seat. Small, just enough room for a bunk and a curtain. I keep it clean. I don't let anyone back there. Ever. Company rules. Personal rules. "I don't have a co-driver," I said aloud before I could stop myself. The radio chuckled softly. "That's not what I asked," the host replied. The road markers ticked by. 418, 419. The signal stayed strong. "You've been running solo for 3 days now. That's about when people stop checking behind them." I felt a cold prickle crawl up my neck. The sleeper curtain was closed. I always close it at night. Keeps the cab darker, quieter. I hadn't heard anything back there. No shifting, no breathing, nothing out of place. "You didn't hear the latch earlier," the host said. "That's normal." My heart started to pound hard enough that I could feel it in my throat. "I don't like dead air," the host went on, "so I'll keep you company until you're ready." The mile marker 420 flashed past my headlights. The radio volume ticked up on its own. "Why haven't you checked the sleeper yet?" the host asked calmly, You usually do by now. I gripped the wheel tighter and kept my eyes on the road. Behind me, something shifted. I didn't turn around. That sounds braver than it was. It wasn't a decision. It was paralysis. The kind that locks your eyes forward and convinces your hands that if they let go of the wheel, everything will end immediately. The sound came again. Not a footstep. Not breathing. Fabric. A slow drag, like denim against vinyl. You heard that, the host said. Not amused. Not concerned. Just observant. Good. That means you're still paying attention. I swallowed and forced my voice to work. Who is this? A brief pause. Static crackled, then smoothed out again. I'm the one keeping you awake. You don't want to drift tonight. The highway stayed empty. No headlights behind me. No rest stops coming up. Just the steady hum of tires and the faint sway of the trailer responding to wind I couldn't feel. I don't pick up here, I said. There's no station out here. There is, he replied. It just doesn't broadcast forward. I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't ask. Mile marker 423 passed. The sleeper curtain twitched. Just slightly, not enough to open, enough to prove it could move. I felt my scalp prickle. My reflection stared back at me from the windshield. Eyes too wide, jaw clenched tight. You lock it every night, the host continued. That's good practice. Habit keeps people alive longer. Then how? The latch sticks, he interrupted gently. Always has. You usually tested twice. I hadn't tonight. The radio dipped in volume for a moment, like the host leaned back. You're tired. You skipped your second coffee. You told yourself you'd power through to the next state line. That was true. All of it. The sleeper made another sound. Closer. A soft thump, like someone shifting their weight on the mattress. My foot eased off the accelerator without me realizing it. The truck slowed. The engine tone dropped. Easy, the host warned. You slow down too much and you'll start thinking about stopping. I'm not stopping, I said. I know. That's the problem. I passed mile marker 425. The radio clicked, and a new sound layered under the host's voice. Breathing. Not over the mic. Inside the cab. Slow, careful, matched to mine a half-second behind, like it was practicing. You check mirrors, you check gauges, you check blind spots. The sleeper curtain shifted again. This time, it pulled back an inch. Darkness pressed against the gap, thicker than the rest of the cab, like the absence of light had weight. You don't check what's already with you, the host finished. I forced myself to glance at the rear-view mirror. The mirror showed the road behind me, empty. But reflected in the glass, just over my shoulder, the sleeper curtain was open wider than it should have been, and something inside it was learning how to sit upright. The radio volume increased slightly. Don't look back yet, the host said calmly. You're not at the right marker. Mile 426 flashed past. Almost, he added. And from the sleeper, a voice whispered, soft and unfinished, like it hadn't been used in a while. Hey, driver? It sounded like me. I didn't answer it. That was the only thing I did right. My name hung in the air, not spoken fully, just the shape of it, the way someone starts to say it when they expect you to respond before they finish. The truck drifted slightly toward the shoulder. I corrected without thinking, hands steady even as everything else inside me went tight and hollow. Mile 427. The radio crackled, then steadied. "Good," he said. "You remembered." "Remembered what?" I asked. My voice sounded far away to my own ears. "You don't talk to it," he replied. "Not until it's seated." The sleeper creaked. The mattress compressed, springs settling under weight. The sound was unmistakable now. Someone was sitting up back there, adjusting themselves to the motion of the truck, learning the rhythm of the road. I could smell it then. Not rot, not sweat. Old fabric, stale air. The smell of a cab that's been closed too long. "You've carried one before," he continued. "Years ago. Different rig, different route. You told yourself it was fatigue." I shook my head. "No. You pulled over that time," he said gently. "That's why this one's still here." The breathing behind me deepened, slower, more confident. The whisper came again, closer to complete this time. "You always check. Why not now?" Mile 428. The host's voice dropped, losing some of its warmth. "This is where most drivers make the wrong choice." The sleeper curtain moved again. Not tugged, drawn back. I didn't need to look to know it was open now. I felt it in the way the cab seemed to expand, like space had been rearranged to make room for something that had finished assembling itself. The radio clicked once. "You have two options," the host said, "and neither of them involves stopping." The thing behind me shifted forward. I heard the soft tap of something touching the back of my seat. A knuckle. Testing. "If you look," the host continued, "it finishes becoming you." The whisper was right behind my ear. "You missed a turn," it said, sounding almost concerned. Mile marker 429. "If you don't," the host said, "it stays unfinished, quiet, as long as you keep moving." My eyes burned. Tears blurred the road ahead, but I didn't wipe them away. I kept them forward, fixed on the white lines pulling me onward. "I can't do this forever," I said. "You don't have to, just until the route ends." "What happens then?" A pause. "It depends on whether you check the sleeper." The thing behind me leaned closer. I felt the faint pressure of breath against my neck. Not warm, not cold. Incomplete. Mile marker 430 passed. The radio signal wavered for the first time. "You're almost out of range," the host said. "I won't be able to talk much longer." "Wait," I said. Panic edged into my voice. "What if it doesn't leave?" The host sighed. "Nothing ever really does," he said. "But it gets quieter when it knows you won't look." The static returned, swallowing his voice mid-sentence. The radio went dead. Every preset came back at once. Music, ads, weather, normal noise flooding the cab like a relief I didn't deserve. I drove the rest of the night without stopping. Didn't check the sleeper, didn't turn my head. By the time the sun came up, the smell was gone. The breathing stopped. The curtain hung still, exactly the way I always left it. When I finally pulled into a truck stop outside St. Louis, I sat there for a long time before opening the door. The sleeper was empty. The bunk was made. Too neatly. I still drive nights. I still pass mile marker 417. The station doesn't cut in anymore, but sometimes when I'm tired and the road is long and quiet, I feel the seat shift behind me, just a little, like someone adjusting, waiting for me to check.